Welcome to this Advent devotional time on this Tuesday, the 22nd of December. We're moving closer to the day when we celebrate the birth of Christ. This is from First Lutheran Church here in New Richmond, Wisconsin. I'm Pastor Paul, the interim pastor here at First Lutheran. I want to focus at this meditation, this devotional time on light and on darkness, and on God's reaching into and touching the whole of the earth through the words of a male or a female Native American who wrote for us anonymously today. But first, this prayer. O radiant dawn, splendor of eternal light, sun of justice, come, shine on those who dwell in darkness and the shadow of death. Clearly, with all the people suffering and struggling with coronavirus and other diseases, we know that every day thousands of people are touched by the visitation of the angel of death. And so we really think about the power of God's Spirit to give hope and comfort to those who are facing that hour of death. O come, dayspring from on high, and cheer us by your drawing nigh. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadow put to flight. And then as we think about our houses, which provide our home for us, and how we, in the winter especially, cherish the sunbeams which come through the windows and make interesting configurations on certain aspects and certain places of our house. And we've commented on that even in the sanctuary here at First Lutheran. Sometimes we show something on the screen and the bright sunlight comes in the afternoon and it blocks it out. And then it passes by and we can see it again. As the sun illumines not only the heaven and the whole world, shining on both land and sea, but also sends rays through windows and small chinks into the furthest recesses of a house, so the word poured out everywhere beholds the smallest actions of our life. So this reading by a Native American individual who wants to share with us their understanding of God's presence among them, and certainly it does not exclude us. Every part of this earth is sacred to my people, he or she writes. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing, every humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. The sap which courses through the trees carries the memories of the red people. The white people's dead forget the country of their birth when they go to walk through the stars. Our dead never forget this beautiful earth, for it is the mother of the red people. We are part of the earth, and it is part of us. The perfumed flowers are our sisters, the deer, the horse, the great eagle. These are our brothers. The rocky crests, the juices of the meadows, the body heat of the pony, the human beings all belong to the same family. For this land is sacred to us. This shining water that moves in the streams and rivers is not just water, but the blood of our ancestors. If we sell you land, you must remember that it is sacred, and you must teach your children that it is sacred, and that each ghostly reflection in the clear water of the lakes tells of events and memories in the life of my people. The water's murmur is the voice of my parents' parent. The red people have always retreated before the advancing white people, as the mist of the mountain runs before the morning sun. But the ashes of our ancestors are sacred. Their graves are holy ground. And so these hills, these trees, this portion of the earth is consecrated to us. You must teach your children that the ground between their feet is the ashes of our ancestors, so that they will respect the land. Tell your children that the earth is rich with the lives of our kin. Teach your children what we have taught our children, that the earth is our mother. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. This we know. The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know. All things are connected, like the blood which unites our one family. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. We do not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Even the white people, whose God walks and talks with them as friend to friend, cannot be exempt from the common destiny. We may be brothers and sisters after all. We shall see, one thing we know, which the white people may one day discover. Our God is the same God. We're going to listen to a familiar seasonal hymn, The Holly and the Ivy, but I want to just read the text, lyrics before we listen to it, because it kind of walks in step with what we just heard from the voice of this writer who shared with us the understanding of spirit for the Native American people. The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the leaves that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. The rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears a blossom as white as a lily flower, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to be our sweet Savior. The holly bears a berry as red as any blood, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to do poor sinners good. The holly bears a prickle as sharp as any thorn, and Mary bore sweet Jesus on Christmas Day in the morn. The holly bears a bark as bitter as any gall, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ for to redeem us all. The rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. Now, 17 years since his death, my uncle, my mother's twin brother, Delmer, lived most of his life and worked in Seattle, Washington. But every Christmas season, usually about the middle of Advent, we'd receive a big box in the mail. And Delmer had cut several cuts of fresh holly from a beautiful big holly tree that he had planted in front of his house, and would send us that holly to use for the decorating of our house. I miss the holly that Delmer sent. Closing here with the words of Mary. Mary, my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, who has looked with favor on me, a lowly serving maid. From this day all generations will call me blessed. The Mighty One has done great things for me, holy the name of the Lord, whose mercy is on the God-fearing from generation to generation. The arm of the Lord is filled with strength, scattering the proud-hearted. God cast the mighty from their thrones, lifting up the lowly. God filled the hungry with good things, sending the rich away empty. God is come to the help of Israel, the Lord's servant, remembering mercy, the mercy promised to our forebears, to Abraham and to his children forever. Lo, how our roses are blooming.